Sports Minutes with Raushan.
Money FM 89.3. It's time for Sports Minute. And on today's show, we are joined by a man who's just become a record breaker in more ways than one. Thiruben is the first Singaporean to ever dip below 1 minute 50 seconds in the men's 800 meters, breaking a 38-year national record. But even more remarkably, he's the same person who usually writes about others' achievements at Singapore athletics. This is a conversation about speed, storytelling, and chasing history. Thiru, a huge welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good today, and thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. In the company of royalty, I should have brought my shades, right? But anyway, let's start with that record-breaking run. What was going through your mind when you crossed the finish line and you saw 1:49.94 flash up?
So to be honest, when I crossed the line, I didn't think I got it because the race felt amazing. You know, I was really in the zone, I was flying and everything. But at the 600-meter mark, I thought I overheard the Malaysian coach shouting out the splits, and the timing I heard was, off pace. So then I was like, oh no, okay, I thought I was feeling so good. How come I'm not, on pace? So I finished the race. I was waiting for the timing to pop up. And I was like, okay, maybe it's a PB, but not a national record. But when I saw it, it was just this elation. So I don't know, maybe I heard the wrong split, or maybe he was shouting the wrong split, but I was on pace actually. And so I got the record. I turned to the stands. I saw my coach, celebrating. I saw all my teammates celebrating. So it was a great moment, yeah.
Now, Thiru, I have to ask you this. How do you hear things when you're running at that speed? How does that even happen?
It's funny because I probably didn't hear anything during the race. I was so zoned in, but I just heard that one coach's voice shouting the split. Because usually when I'm raced locally or something, my coach is there. So maybe my mind is just looking out for that 600-meter split. Yeah, I don't know. It's just things that can't be explained when moments like this happen. It was a very memorable race for me. Not many races I've had in my career was as blissful as that. Yeah,
absolutely. You use the word blissful, you use the word elation, right? You've been targeting this record for a year now. So when you did go out there and achieve it, was there a weight lifted off your shoulders? And was it a case of everything coming together to make you achieve that wonderful record?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say I was weighed down by it leading up to it, because I sort of always had that faith in myself that I was going to get it, based on my training times, based on, the plans that we worked out with my coach. It was all leading up to this race. But definitely, it was a race where I was slightly more nervous than I usually am. So I usually think that I'm quite cool before races. But this one, I was getting a bit anxious. And I think it was more in anticipation. So yeah, when I actually saw that timing and then I knew that all our plans worked out, I think it was just joy and just excitement because, I've hit this milestone and now I'm on track to hitting greater milestones. So yeah, just really, really happy. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And you talk about, we mentioned earlier in terms of your dual role as a marketing and communications executive with Singapore Athletics as well, right? So I have to ask, did you already know the 38-year record was on the line before the race?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm always the one writing about the national records that my teammates break. So I keep quite a close eye on the record books. I'm a bit of a geek, track and field geek. You could say that. I have the numbers in my head. So I've had this, probably even when I just started running the 800 meters, I probably already saw this timing. So it's been in my mind for a long time. And the thing about track and field is, even if I ran 150.0, it's just a few milliseconds away from 149.9, but it makes such a big difference when you're crossing that threshold. So yeah, 149 was something that I was always looking forward to, and yeah.
Absolutely fine margins, right? I have to ask, though, I'm not suggesting you wrote the article before you ran the race, but did you have a draft saved somewhere for the post?
I was close to having a draft save, but I didn't in the end. I was just too busy also because even in the days leading up to the competition, I was also writing about my teammates. I was getting posts done. So it was in my mind. I was like, maybe I should, I have a good feeling this is going to happen. Should I write something? But I was like, no, mind. Let me just focus on getting the race done first, and then whatever happens after, I'll figure that out.
And maybe there was an element of not wanting to jinx it almost, right?
Yeah, maybe. But to be fair, because I also prepared the graphics for the results of everyone competing Asian Champs, and the sample graphic, the one that I prepared the template with, was my graphic. Nice. And it had 149 national record on it.
Oof.
So yeah, it came true.
I love that you manifested it. I'm guessing the Canva template is going to be framed up in your house somewhere, right?
Yeah, it might be framed up now. Yeah.
Let's talk about the racing. You talk about that record. I can see the pride you have in terms of that achievement. When you crossed the line, eventually timings were clocked in. When you got to your phone, who was the first person you contacted, and what was the reaction from family and friends?
I think the first thing I did was my family WhatsApp chat. I told them, I did it. I broke the national record. And then my girlfriend was calling me. So she was the first person I probably spoke to right after. This is just walking off the track. I haven't even gone out to see anyone else. I'm just like still collecting myself, still kind of taking out my spikes. But I was already on FaceTime with her and she was screaming. So, and then right after I got out, so I packed my shoe bag and everything. I left the kind of holding area, and my coaches were there, my teammates were there, and maybe they will not be happy with me saying this, but both my coaches cried. So I wasn't expecting that. I didn't expect how my achievement has brought so much emotion out of my loved ones, but it was quite an awesome feeling also, because then it made me realize, how many people have been supporting me on this journey and how many people really were kind of, looking out for me, kind of rooting for me. So it was, quite a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that you say there was so much emotion involved. I have to ask you, it's been a couple of weeks since the record was set. What's been your personal reflection in this time in terms of that achievement?
So I guess the first few days of it was just really feeling really happy. I think the next morning, even though I was really tired, I just was soaking in my bathtub in the hotel and just like looking through all the messages. So I was really happy with this accomplishment. And then when I got back to Singapore, I think it was kind of a bit back to norm. I mean, obviously I'm doing cool stuff now, like I'm being here with you in the podcast, but kind of also just looking forward to restarting training again and just working towards my next goals. And then also, definitely a point of reflection over the past year of embarking on a new event. And then just kind of a moment to realize, okay, it's actually going on track, So now I need to lock in for the next part of the journey, because I want to keep this going. I don't want to let this momentum drop. So just looking forward to the next part,
I love that you say going on track, pun fully intended, I'm guessing, right? Let's switch to your day role as a marketing and communication executive with Singapore Athletics. How did you first find your way into such a role? Was content creation always part of your career plan?
Wouldn't say content creation specifically, but I was studying sports marketing. That's my degree. I studied in Melbourne. And then in early 2023, I was back in Singapore and I was looking for an internship to complete my degree. And just so happened that Singapore Athletics had an opening for a marketing intern, and it made so much sense for me because I really wanted something that was flexible, allowed me to continue to train, because that year was a lot of competitions. And so I started working there as an intern, kind of started revamping our social media, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. It was very purposeful for me. It was basically what I studied also for, and it just really fit me like a glove. And I started working full-time in June 2023, so it's been about 2 years now. Exactly 2 years now, actually. And it's just been very purposeful. I've grown a lot because of this role, and it's also helped me a lot into doing well in my track career because of the flexibility, the support that I'm getting.
I've had a lot of interns come through and leave a better person, but I can surely tell you none of my interns will go on to set national records, so that's amazing and kudos to you. I have to ask though, is it a bit awkward having to post about yourself at times above and beyond the rest of your peers?
So I've had times where I've had to kind of post about myself, but the way I look at it, I told myself is just imagine I'm a third person party here and try and look at myself objectively. So if I was looking at myself from another person's point of view, would I post this? Is this too much posting on myself? So I kind of use that as a gauge. But I wouldn't say it's weird. If anything, actually, it's very rewarding to be able to write my own national record posts. But I was saying earlier to you, if I'm going to keep breaking this national record, hopefully, but maybe for the next few ones, I'm not going to be writing my own. It'll be a bit too much. So looking for any ghostwriters out there that can help me with that.
So Thiru's on the lookout for a ghostwriter or intern. If you are interested, reach out. You never know, you could be writing national records, right? I want to talk to you about this. You talk about posting stuff, right? With social media, there's a bit of a cloak and dagger. The admin is often in the background, unseen, behind a screen. You do that, and then you're also center stage during a race. How do you deal with both?
Oh, that's very interesting. But definitely cloak and dagger, and also social media these days, is where everyone kind of looks out for to connect with the athletes also. So I've kind of seen both parts of it also. I've seen so much joy being shared by followers. I've also seen, criticisms, and that's completely fair. That's the platform for people to do that. So I think me being an athlete is also kind of, I need to compartmentalize, not kind of mix my roles together. So I've been able to, when it's time to perform on the track, leave everything aside. You're just here as an athlete. You're just here to execute. So I think definitely with some challenges, I guess, trying to split those roles, but something that I've been able to manage so far.
And in a positive way, has being an athlete helped you tell these stories better? Not just your own, but the rest of the people at Singapore Athletics as well?
Oh, 100%. I think that's what makes me good in what I do, because I know everyone in the community. I know all my national athletes. I know the coaches, the upcoming athletes. I'm always keeping a close eye on. So it's just very easy for me to kind of reach out to them when I want to interview them or, kind of I have all the context on basically their journey. So, and I think probably throughout the past 2 years, I've reached out to all my national record, like all my teammates who've broken national records. And I would like to think it's like one of the first things when they break a record, they see a text message from me, congratulating them, getting a quote from them. So I'm very happy to set this kind of culture. So at least there's some recognition. When people do well, you know that you're going to have a post up there, you know that you're going to be, it's going to be picked up by media also, hopefully. So I think that serves quite important purpose also in my job. Yeah,
absolutely. And you may not want to say this, but I feel like I need to say this. I feel like there might be a comfort level coming from a fellow athlete asking another athlete for a quote. Almost if a media person asks them, there might be a sort of glass ceiling, sort of in terms of the emotion coming through. I want to ask you though, in social media, it's all about fastest finger first, right? Does being the fast man that you are help you as a social media person as well?
It does. Actually, another really kind of advantageous position for me is that I'm always usually at the meets that everyone's doing well at. So I'm always there also with a camera. So if I'm not competing, I'm there at the stands with a camera and I'm taking photos, and I have my laptop with me at the stands. So immediately I take a photo of the athletes competing and the news is out within a few minutes. So yeah, it definitely helps. I'm proud to say that we're always beating some of the newspaper articles, always essay of my Instagram post kind of goes out first. So yeah, it's definitely helps, yeah.
Can you help me with the pail of ice water for the burn you just dished out? Let's move it on to your 800 meter switch. I did some research and I realized a long time ago, or maybe some time ago, you were a 400 meter runner and then you made the switch to 800 meter. Tell me more.
Yeah, so actually, interestingly, I started my career as a cross-country runner. So I started track and field when I was 14 and it was doing longer distances. So my first year I was doing like 1,500, 3,000 meters cross-country. And I was doing pretty well in it as well, but then I kind of made a switch down to the 800. And there was this 1 year when I was in JC1. So I was still training for the 8 and 1,500. But just one meet where my coach told me, just run the 400 at the end of it. So I've already ran the 8, I've already ran the 15, run the 4. And I ran pretty well. It was a 50.1, which was a decent timing. So he was like, okay, the next meet, you're going to run the 400. I ran the 400 and it went even better. I ran a 48 seconds and that kind of qualified me for the World Under-18 Championship. So I think since then it was a bit of like, wait, how do you do that? Like, how did you manage to, maybe we found something special here in the 400. So my next few years of my career kind of was focusing on the 400. A lot of small injuries along the way, I think to do with my build, my body type. So I was always searching for an opportunity to go back to the 800 meters because I felt like that was, where I have the most potential in. And I'm happy that last year there was an opportunity for me where it kind of made sense to go back to the 800. And yeah, so since then I'm really enjoying it. I'd probably say I love racing the 800 more than the 400. So it's been very fruitful, yeah.
And here we are, one national record later. On paper, it seems like 400, 800 is just twice the distance and possibly twice the time. But as an athlete, I'm guessing there's a lot more to it mentally and physically.
Yeah, definitely. So 400 is like a pure sprint event to me. The kind of training that you have to do is a lot more speed work. It requires a lot more power. Doing that training didn't really suit my body so well, just because I needed to build up a bit more strength to kind of cope with that demands. But I also do have from doing cross country back in my earlier days, I do have a bit more aerobic endurance. So that's like your long runs, So kind of switching to the 800 made sense because I can kind of use my 400 meter speed. And then also, using my endurance, and it was a perfect blend because the 800 is truly an event where you have to be good at everything. It's like a jack of all trade events. So you have to be doing your strength work, you have to be doing speed, you have to be doing your long runs, your intervals. It encompasses everything. And I think that really suits my characteristics better. Yeah.
You were not kidding about being a track and field geek because you absolutely ironed out all that needs to be done for you to do so well. We talked about your achievements thus far. 2025 hopefully is going to be bigger and better for you because there's the SEA Games looming large. You probably already know this, but the last time a Singaporean man won the 800 meter medal was back in 1973. How much does rewriting that record and story motivate you?
When we started this journey last year to switch to the 800, I think the end goal for this first chapter was the SEA Games. And we already said, we want to aim for the goal, because it's a realistic aim for me. And definitely, so I was kind of expecting to be able to aim for like a 148 by SEA Games. And I was thinking that it could carry me in the mix for goal. But actually, seeing my competitors now also kind of step it up. So in the Asian Championships where I ran the national record, two of my competitors ran 147.
Wow.
So now that's really a great motivation for me because I know I have a lot more room to improve. And so I want to really get my timings down to that 147 and to win a medal for Singapore in an event that hasn't seen one for, if my math's correct, that's 52 years, more than half a century. I think that would be momentous. I don't think it should have taken that long. I feel like in the last few years, Singapore athletics has grown so much. We've been breaking so many old national records and so many old kind of benchmarks. So I think it's time for me to also, kind of follow what my fellow athletes have done and, break some really old records, set some new, make some new history. Yeah.
No, I love it that you pointed out 52 years. My point is better late than never, and you are on the cusp of something quite special. Speaking of cusp of something quite special, do you think Singapore athletics is now in a position of power almost to build on the recent successes and get even bigger?
Oh, 100%. I've seen it for myself, from when I started my career to now. It's just awesome to see the community has grown so much. The athletes are just getting stronger and stronger. And the most exciting thing for me is the younger athletes. So like those under 18 athletes, they're getting so much faster. And I think it's also to the good work of people like Shanti, who set she's like sort of like a North Star for you to see. And it's actually possible to do that well. It's actually possible to be Asian champion. And I'm sure she's inspiring a lot of the younger athletes. And not just Shanti, so many other athletes like Chen Xiang, like Mark, they've all done so well.
I love that. Now, on behalf of the listeners, we wish you all the best in your hopes and ambitions for what the future holds. I just want to ask you this final question. You're obviously just at the start of your career, but I'm already thinking legacy and in terms of the future and what it will hold, right? What is it that you want to leave behind as a legacy, not just as an athlete, but a storyteller as well?
I mean, as an athlete, my goal is, I wouldn't say it's a material goal. It's not like I'm trying to hit this certain timing or anything. I think my goal is just to know that I've maxed out my potential by the end of my career. And at the same time, I want to be able to take middle distance running in Singapore to a next step, so that the others that are coming after me can have something to aim for and something to improve on also. So I think that's my goal here. So if through my performances, I can inspire the next generation of Singaporean athletes to kind of go a step further, I think I'll be really happy. Through my role, as a storyteller, doing the job that I'm doing, is to continue to build the community, sort of keep giving athletes recognition, and to push them on to do better. Also, just spur on just create greater stories to come. I'm hoping that my best story has been written yet. I want to keep writing these posts, just keep looking forward to what's to come next. Yeah.
Absolutely. You are doing God's work, and on behalf of the listeners, we wish you all the very best. Listeners, remember the name Thiruben Thana Rajan. He isn't just clocking fast times, he's blazing a trail in terms of crafting narratives, recovering from setbacks, and flying the flag for Team Singapore. Thiru, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sports Minutes on Money FM 89.3.